We're really, really thankful that you've taken time out of your day. We know how busy you are. And Oregon Humane Society, I want to tell you just a little bit about who we are in case you don't know. Oregon Humane is the oldest humane society west of the Mississippi. It was founded almost 150 years ago. It's a nonprofit, no tax dollars, completely funded by donations. And the roots for Oregon Humane are based on the fight against animal cruelty, abuse, and neglect. The founder of Oregon Humane first started working on treatment and prevention and care for horses that needed help and assistance and rescue that were workhorses on the streets of Portland way back 148 years ago. And also was really focused on prevention and action toward child abuse. So it's pretty interesting to think that in 150 years we're still focused on providing training and education and staffing that respond to and prevent animal abuse and animal neglect. Oregon Humane has about 200 staff based in Portland. And how many of you guys have ever been to the shelter? Anybody? Okay, great. A few people, yeah. Please come and see us when you can. We're committed to helping throughout Oregon. Even though we're based in Portland, we help all around the state in any way that we can. The main programs that we do throughout the state include animal transfer for adoption. We live in a metropolitan area that's growing and is very pet friendly. We adopt out about over 11,000 pets per year. We bring them in from all over the state and even other states now. So we love to assist in that way. When we get down to the law enforcement division, which has been active at Oregon Humane since the beginning, our focus is the Portland metropolitan area and then outreach county by county. And the way that we do that is really by finding out who needs us and what action needs to be taken. So we depend on people like you who are the front line to call us when you need help in terms of education, direct assistance with a case, forensics, and things like that. We do, our team will tell you a little bit more about how many cases we do per year and what that's like. But again, we appreciate you being here. As far as, I wanted to say just a little bit more about why we're in Klamath County specifically. And really thank Dr. McGinnis for his leadership in pulling ACAT, I love that name, ACAT, right? That's so cool. Together to bring all of the experts to the game. We know that if we have experts from all of the disciplines, we can do a much better job for our community and the people in it and for the animals. And we're committed to helping so that law enforcement doesn't have to walk past an animal cruelty or an animal neglect case, that you have the resources and help you need. So thank you, Doug, for your leadership. Of course, you know, personally for me, it's really exciting to be here because my roots are here. My family moved here in 1960. My dad was a human physician here. He just did one species, but he was pretty good at it. But I grew up here and came back and practiced, like Doug said, did a mixed practice for about 9 years, and then moved on to Portland to start Banfield, the pet hospital, where I served mostly in an executive role and didn't do much clinical practice. But for the last 14 years, I've been really committed to shelter medicine, animal welfare, and engaging in bringing the profession of veterinary medicine into animal welfare. And I think that this kind of a meeting really represents how when you get animal control, humane societies, veterinarians, and law enforcement in the same room, you can really make things happen. So we really hope that today will provide you just some tangible tools to do your job, and also that we're building relationships, because we know that through relationships we can really get things done. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the experts. Linda Fielder is our manager in Humane Investigations in Portland. She's been with Oregon Humane Society for over 10 years and has really developed the entire department in terms of animal cruelty. I think you'll tell about our officers probably. And then Emily Davidson, who's our staff attorney, and has really brought us into the new millennium in terms of being able to provide law enforcement with direct assistance and also prepare cases to take to the DA. So they'll be telling you lots about their careers and themselves.
This is a little flow chart of my life. Can you see everything? I was raised by collies back in the Midwest in Indiana. I loved my dog so much I had my senior picture taken with him. I have some regrets still around doing that, but I can laugh about it now just recently. But I've always loved animals. I was active in 4-H as soon as I could be, working with animals and sneaking as many animals into my suburban yard as I could legally. And and secretly get away with. Until at the age of about 30, I started working as a vet assistant in a veterinary clinic in Kansas City, Missouri. I worked there for 9 years, and that's where I started to learn about the role of the veterinarian in recognizing and addressing animal cruelty. Missouri is a state where, because of lax laws, there are a higher concentration of puppy mills in Missouri than in any other state in the country. And so my boss was pretty proactive about trying to help in those situations, and we found ourselves going around to puppy mills and puppy mill auctions and getting puppies out of there and trying to rehabilitate them kind of under the table outside of the law, but just to help where we could. After spending 9 years in Kansas City, I moved to Portland, and I realized that I didn't want to go back to that kind of normal vet practice routine. I wanted to continue to help animals, so I was able to get a job at Oregon Humane Society in the animal care department and worked my way through a couple of iterations there until in 2007 we opened the hospital, teaching hospital, and I came on board with Dr. O to help on the med team. I started in investigations in 2009, and at that time the department was really limited in what they could do without the support of a veterinary hospital. And we'll talk more about that, about how important the veterinarian's findings and records and testimony are to an animal cruelty or an animal neglect case, and how we can work together. But because Oregon Humane until 2007 didn't have a veterinary clinic on site, we were at the mercy of vets in the community who would do that type of work for free for us, and we were less effective as a unit. We were able to work with them well when we needed to, but on their schedule, and so that made it a little bit harder. This is my contact information. This is my dog Helen. She is a Border Collie Lab American Eskimo Shar-Pei Poodle Rottweiler from Oregon Humane Society. I got an 8-in-1 deal. If anybody needs to contact me, cell phone is great if you're out in the field and you see something that you need assistance with. I watch my cell phone all the time. And we'll also give you the contact information for our office for things that are less urgent. And here's Emily.
Similar to Linda, I grew up loving animals and being passionate about animal welfare. And I went to college and I got a degree in policy degree. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with that. And so I went to volunteer for this agency called the Animal Legal Defense Fund. Has anyone heard of them? It's a nonprofit made up pretty much all of lawyers, and they their mission is to use the legal system to benefit animals. And so in volunteering there, I realized what an impact you could have with the background of law school and a law degree or being a lawyer, and how many animals you could help. So I decided to go to law school in Vermont because I'm initially from Chicago suburbs, and I went to undergrad in Portland, and I hadn't lived on the East Coast yet, so I thought I would try out Vermont, which was great for law school because the town was very small and there wasn't really anything else to do but study, so it worked out well for that, but it was too small for me, and I loved Portland so much. So when I graduated law school, I had done an internship during law school for the criminal justice section of the Animal Legal Defense Fund, and realized that that was the niche in animal welfare that I was most interested in. And so when I moved back to Portland, I worked for ALDF again, and through that position I did a research project for the investigations department at Oregon Humane Society, and I still had an outstanding internship that I needed to do for my legal master's degree, so I offered to help them out for free, and kind of got into that department that way, forced my way in basically. And they didn't have a legal position in the department before, and kind of at the same time that I did that internship, the landscape was starting to change for animal crimes and how they were being litigated and who was defending them. So there was more focus. You know, I've heard stories prior to my time in that department where they could bring a picture of a skinny animal, show it to a jury, and you get a conviction. And that started changing around when I came to the department, where we were getting questioned more about our chain of custody or authenticating photos, or just was more a more thorough vetting of our cases than had ever been in the past. And so that I kind of moved into the role of making our cases more prosecutable by the DAs and addressing those issues as they came up in court and making changes to our processes to preempt those challenges. And so my job is multifaceted. I get to be on scene at the case, which is great for a lawyer. Usually lawyers are removed from the incident themselves by the time it gets to your desk. As a lawyer who's writing the motions, it's, you know, the cat was injured. But I actually get to be there removing it from the scene, and then I get to see it through when it's prosecuted, the person is held accountable and be involved in what the sentencing is going to be. And so that's really rewarding for me. I also get to, during the session, work to improve the laws for animals in Oregon, and I can see how they play out in real life in our cases, and then in the next year maybe make an adjustment, something we didn't foresee initially. I also get to be part of the counseling the officers in the field and reviewing their reports, from trying to think about it from a defense attorney perspective, so that we're making those considerations prior to submitting them in our case packet, which I don't know that our officers always love doing, but I think it's helpful down the line to do that before they're on their stand, having to explain why they phrase something a certain way. And that's my contact information and my dog Dooley.